In a recent Fox News interview with Sean Hannity, former President Donald Trump sharply criticized Democratic governance and policies, claiming they are failing the American public. Trump focused on cultural and economic issues, highlighting gender debates and tax increases as examples of what he described as terrible Democratic policies.
We had a conversation, and maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but I will. And it was after the 2020 election. You asked me a question, and we've known each other for 30 years, so we have a friendship and we have a professional relationship. And the question you asked me, maybe in the end it will be better that if I came back in 4 years. And we talked about history. After World War II, Winston Churchill was thrown out, but they brought him back. Grover Cleveland is the only other American president that did not serve consecutive terms. And my answer to you was, I thought it would be bigger if you came back. It's turning out to be bigger. And I think one thing is happening is people are learning that they can't govern and that their policies are terrible. I mean, they don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring. No. They don't want to see men in women's sports and otherwise. Yeah, they don't want to see men. They don't want to have transgender for everyone. They don't want a child leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl. A parent doesn't want to see that. And there are states where that can happen. So they don't want to see taxes go through the roof. Like, this is the only group of people they want to raise your they say we want to raise your taxes. You know, if they don't work with us on the Trump tax cuts extending, that would mean we go back to the taxes. We got the largest tax cut in history. That would mean the taxes would go up more than any tax hike in the history of our country. And normally you'd say that's got to be the easiest negotiation in history, because if they did that, how could they ever win an election? But they'll fight us on that. They fight us on things. It's incredible. Here, they don't use common sense. In my opinion, the Democrats don't use common sense.
People are learning that Democrats can't govern and that their policies are terrible, Trump stated. They don't want to see a woman get pummeled by a man in a boxing ring. They don't want a child to leave home as a boy and come back 2 days later as a girl. He referred to growing concerns about policies allowing biological males to compete in women's sports and children undergoing gender transitions without parental consent, which he said are deeply unpopular among Americans. On taxation, Trump warned of significant financial consequences if his administration's tax cuts are not extended. We've got the largest tax cut in history, Trump said, suggesting that Democrats' reluctance to negotiate would lead to the largest tax hike in the history of our country. He argued that such policies show a lack of common sense and would harm families and businesses nationwide. Trump also compared his potential political comeback to historical figures like Winston Churchill and Grover Cleveland, framing his return as a response to Democratic leadership failures. In the end, it will be bigger, Trump asserted, referring to the public's growing dissatisfaction with current Democratic policies. His comments have sparked widespread discussion, with conservative commentators agreeing that Democratic policies on gender and taxation are disconnected from American values. Meanwhile, critics argue that Trump's views simplify complex issues, particularly around gender identity and policy development. As the nation looks ahead to the 2024 elections, Trump's critique of Democratic leadership underscores the ongoing cultural and economic debates shaping the political landscape. His remarks have resonated with many voters, positioning these issues at the forefront of the conservative agenda.